Do I have any hip hop fans out there? What's up guys, Frankie here, and today could be the first in a series of videos called Frankie Answers Big Life Philosophical Questions About Money that might actually be impossible to answer. Okay, I'm workshopping that title a little bit, but the point is I'm gonna start with a big head-scratching question, maybe even something a little controversial. Then I'm gonna dive in blindly, relying on the all-knowing Google machine. I'm gonna chase rabbits down holes, I'm gonna zig, I'm gonna zag, I'm gonna take notes like a freshman in college, and I'm gonna provide you with the TLDR and my final thoughts in the end. And I am pumped for you to hear my final thoughts, so be sure to stick around because I feel like I learned a lot. As you saw in today's title, I'm gonna attempt to find an answer to this question: does more money actually mean more problems? I'm gonna start with my quick thoughts just blindly before diving in, and then I'm gonna take you through a journey of 4 important corners of the internet. Those today are gonna be genius.com, Quora, Reddit, and NPR, in that order. And I assure you at every single stop, there's gonna be a lot of thought-provoking ideas. So again, stick around until the end. But first, my initial thoughts, sort of hypothesis, I guess, if you will. And my first reaction to this question was, well, honestly, it made me think about that study that everyone cites. I forget the details, but there's a study that revealed the exact number of annual income to maximize happiness here in the US, and it's somewhere around $75,000. Happiness might slow down beyond that, but this only helps us in pursuit, I think, to an answer of a different question, which is, how much is enough? What do problems look like beyond $75,000 or $500,000 or $1 million? And also, I want to earn more than $75,000 myself. Is there anything wrong with that? Now, going into this, I think it's okay to want more out of life without feeling guilty or fearful of the problems that additional income can cause. It doesn't seem healthy, after all, to be scared of money. So next, I attempted to list out actual real-life problems that you might have with more money. And here's what I came up with last week in a quick brainstorm. And please don't judge me. You're gonna pay more taxes to the government, exponentially more to a certain extent, in fact. And I thought about feeling judged about how you spend, or I guess don't spend your money. I thought about maybe feeling obligated to pay for things for other people. With more money, you're likely gonna maybe wanna buy a house or even homes, and I think managing properties, now that could be headache inducing. And if you have more money, it could be because you're a self-made entrepreneur or business person, but a growing business can become very difficult to manage. And finally, poorly managing your money could mean you end up back where you were in the beginning. So I thought about, lottery winners going broke, retired bankrupt athletes, failed entrepreneurs, and the list goes on. First of all, though, if the problems I just discussed are problems, I think they definitely fall under the category of good problems to have. Not all problems should be seen as issues. Second, the alternative presents its own set of unique challenges. Challenges like paying your bills on time, putting food on the table, putting gifts under the Christmas tree, having to build up courage, let's say, to open up that envelope you got that says urgent past due on the front. Now, money can't solve all your problems, but it can solve your money problems. So my hypothesis is no. More money does not mean more problems. But let's ask the internet. I wanted to ease my way into this project, so I started with the song about the topic. And one of my favorite hip hop songs growing up was the classic Puff Daddy, Mase, and Notorious B.I.G. banger, Mo Money, Mo Problems. So I headed over to genius.com, which is a website dedicated to explaining lyrics from songs. And this site is really addicting. They might spend paragraphs explaining just why one single word was used, for example. What did genius.com teach me about the song? Did these very wealthy and very successful hip hop artists actually have problems that I'm not thinking about? Maybe there are lessons in the lyrics themselves. Here's analysis attached to the chorus that I found to be really interesting. It says, the song popularized the phrase, more money, more problems, but the idea was already common, perhaps inspired by the famous biblical proverb, the love of money is the root of all evil. In 1984, a newly famous Madonna made a similar observation in an interview with Record Mirror magazine. The more money you have, the more problems you have. I went from making no money to making comparatively a lot, and all I've had is problems. Life was simpler when I had no money, when I just barely survived. In 1996, Tupac rapped on Hold Ya Head, and mo money means litigatin', mo playa hatin'. So to summarize these ideas, money can be evil potentially. Life is simpler when you have less or even no money, and having money can mean that others hate you. Speaking though of Tupac and hate, being one of the best at what you do can put a target on your back. There's that infamous feud between Notorious B.i.g. and Tupac, this whole West Coast, East Coast battle that ensued. And unfortunately, both Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. were shot and killed. And as a kid watching this all unfold, I remember being so confused and devastated. These were two of the all-time greats in their prime. Now, Notorious B.I.G. was the epitome of a rags to riches story, going from a broke drug dealer to a successful rapper. There's one line from this song that sort of gives me chills now that I understand it a little more. He says, "I bruise too much, I lose too much." And actually, the speculation here is that he's saying that he gets nothing by fighting and going to war, this whole East Coast, West Coast beef. He was aware of the direction it was headed, and one could speculate he was sort of maybe waving a white flag here. But was money the ultimate problem here between these two in this infamous beef? Or was it success? Was it respect? Who's to say, really, right? Anyways, thanks for indulging me on that first stop. I bet you didn't see this coming from a financial independence channel. Let's head on over next to Quora, our second stop here on the internet, looking for an answer or at least a fresh perspective. And right away, I found an excellent thread that started with someone asking, "Do you believe more money, more problems?" Word for word, here are some of the highlights. Here's a pretty direct and slightly aggressive reply. "While money doesn't buy happiness, poverty can cause sadness. When you're out of debt and paying your bills on time, the rest is largely gravy." One user replied, "No, not at all. Rich people say that because their lives are so good that they have to invent problems to make themselves fit in more with most humans. If a rich person has problems, then they are not because of money. I can assure you that wealth is vastly superior to poverty, and that the impoverished would gladly take on your supposed problems in order to have your money." This reply actually reminds me of that Kanye West line, "Having money is not everything, not having it is." Name that song if you know it down below. Someone else said, "On the other hand, money can be used for all kinds of good. Take Bill and Melinda Gates for one example. They are among the richest people on earth, yet they seem to live a good life while using much of their wealth to make the world a better place." And yeah, this is super true. And it reminds me of this concept I've heard about, which is that money doesn't change you, it just makes you more of who you are. So if you're a selfish jerk without money, you're probably gonna be an even bigger selfish jerk when you have it. And this is why it is key to give even when you have no money. People who don't give when they have very little are very unlikely to give when they have a lot. So giving is key. Like this video if you agree with this concept. And finally, a longer reply. I want to highlight this one. It says, "It depends on you and how you got the money. If you earned it by working, you have a sense of its value. If it was a gift, you honor the giver by how you use it. But if you got it through theft, extortion, or other unjust means, you have a big problem. Having money comes with responsibility to use it well, whether you have a little or a lot. The point about money is to make it flow. It's made round to go round." Oof, I love that line. I've never heard that, honestly. It's made round to go round. It flows when you spend, and when you save, you give it to someone else to invest so that it flows in other directions. Either way, when you direct the flow through spending or investing, you are shaping the world. You can do it in ways that bring problems or to create solutions. It's up to you. Gosh, I love this. Money can bring problems or create solutions. It's up to you. Either way, it flows. Money equals responsibility. Wow, that is a great note to end on here with Quora. But then there's Reddit. Oh boy, there's Reddit. And frankly, I'm not a big user of Reddit myself, but I did go hunting for an answer. I found 4 or 5 threads on the topic. I spent 30 or 45 minutes reading, and here are the highlights in no particular order. One user started a thread by writing, "More money equals more problems is a lie." This was in a subreddit called Unpopular Opinion. Then he added, "Being rich won't make you happy. Yes, it effing will." Someone else commented, "Money can't buy happiness, but it is more comfortable to cry in a Mercedes than on a bike." Another said about all their rich kid friends, saying, "More money leads to, quote, more access to drugs, less involved parents, and more people trying to use you for favors. More money almost always equals more responsibility." And this idea is something we reference from Quora as well. When it comes to salary, by the way, and that perfect happiness income number of $75,000 I referenced at the top, there was a healthy conversation about it on Reddit. First, someone said, "I'm making $80,000 a year and stressed AF. How do happiness?" I love that. And I love this one. "I would like an opportunity to try rich and sad for a while." Another post said, "They've since updated that now. Now it's around $87,000 thanks to inflation and increased cost of living." And about 50 people chimed in, similar to this post where the original poster actually needed to edit, saying, "I get it, it's no longer $75,000. So what is the new perfect happiness income number? Well, One user thought it was $150,000 but didn't cite a source. The same person expressed frustration about goalposts moving on us, which I thought was interesting. But alas, somebody actually cited an article with the updated number, and that number is $105,000 here in the United States. This according to nature.com. $105,000 is the perfect salary for happiness where I live here in 2020. So I'm assuming 108,000 in 2021 and so on because of inflation. But who's to say really? Maybe we shouldn't look for and lock into a specific salary number, because when you think about it, the cost of living here in the United States varies dramatically in different parts of the country and even dramatically within states themselves. Plus, what if you are, single with no kids, you have debt and you rent, versus married with 5 kids and own a home and so on? It's all relative is the point here. But beyond the salary number, I found this post to be really interesting. I don't think you hit the more money equals more stress mark until you rake in an absurd amount of money, when it just becomes kind of depressing how much money you have and how little you're doing with it. In true Reddit fashion though, the next person said, that's what poor people say, but then eventually, some people are so poor that all they've got is money. Wow, that last part will really make you think. And in terms of more money meaning more problems, another chimed in honestly about her husband, saying, when he started earning well, there is this subtle but very real expectation that he pays for stuff when we go out in a group. And a lot of people replied agreeing with the sentiment, even if they make little, but just more than the people that they're around. And then the unthinkable happened. In a surprise twist on Reddit, someone actually agreed with both sides. Well, they agreed and disagreed, so we were close. But I will say this line, you're right and you're wrong, these were words kicking around my head a lot throughout my hours of internet deep diving. So that was stop 3 of 4. Let's quickly end with something a little more concrete before I get to my thoughts to leave you with here. So finally, I came across something I wasn't totally expecting, but it really hit home with me. I found a link to a short NPR interview from 2012 with author Richard Watts about his new book at the time, Fables of Fortune, What Rich People Have That You Don't Want. And by the way, I'm going to link a few of these sites and resources down below, and I do highly recommend this one if nothing else because there is audio attached and it's a quick listen. So here are the highlights from that interview. His book is speaking to and about the middle class. He's trying to make the point that we spend too much time dreaming about things that we don't have. But he says, when you have it, it probably won't be as good as you think. Then he goes on to argue that wealth can unravel and compromise marriages. Frankly, we have the money to divorce each other, hinting at this idea that people stay together when they're unhappy because of the financial benefits. And this feels really yucky, but yeah, I can see that. Plus, more importantly, money takes away our time or the quest for it. He described a famous CEO that he saw on a beach with his wife and kids, but all his attention were on his 2 phones, his 2 iPads, and laptop. And this next bit I thought was really powerful and personal. He explained how his own son, Todd, went into thousands of dollars of credit card debt during college. He ended up with $48,000 of debt and assumed his parents would bail him out. Spending money you don't have absolutely means more problems. Anyways, they decided they were going to make him dig himself out of the hole, and he did. He and his son were in tears paying off that last payment of debt. His son said, "I've never been so happy to be so poor, Dad." And that part really hit me. What a perfect example of appreciating what you have, even if what you have is nothing, because what you used to have is negative. It's all relative. Money and your net worth is all relative. Watts' ultimate message here for the middle class is, he says, it's probably best for you to quit dreaming about something you will probably never have, but to really recognize the blessings of where you're at and what you've got and just enjoy the things you've got, because there are things you've got that the wealthiest families in America can't get. And what about having real wealth, far above $75,000 or even $105,000 a year? Can you be wealthy and not end up with problems like bratty kids, enabled spouses, and so on? And yes, he argues, here's how the rich stay happy and reduce problems with more wealth. They use money as a security blanket. They don't use it to elevate their lifestyle. The ones who've been best with money are the ones who use it to create security. Use money to create security. People like Warren Buffett, he goes on to say, continue to live the same life even with more money. They internalize that life in their pursuit of success was never about having a huge house, private planes, and overall just more than you need. It's about the journey. It's about security. That was a lot of information in not a lot of time for you, the viewer. I had a little more time to sit with all this, but honestly, I still can't get my head around all of it and come to a super clear conclusion. But what did I learn? Well, I learned that $75,000 is no longer this perfect income for happiness, but I don't think $105,000 is, or anywhere in between either. It's all relative depending on situation and perspective. Either way, appreciate what you have earned and what you have. I learned that this idea of mo money, mo problems makes zero sense to people who don't have any. Nearly 100% of people living in poverty would trade situations any day of the week. Again, it's perspective. And I started to see some of the negatives that come with growing up in a family where there's a lot of money, or even what it's like to have more money than your close circle of friends or family in terms of expectations. And I'll never understand these things fully, but it's important to try to see things from a different perspective. And there's that word perspective again. More money does mean more responsibility, and I think a moral obligation to do good with it. Money isn't inherently good or evil. So if you have it, respect it, and give in whatever way, shape, or form you're comfortable with. It's round for a reason, remember. Save, invest, spend, give. But more importantly though, that final point from the author stands out to me. Money equals security. Chase security, not things. Chase freedom and opportunity, not money for the sake of more money. Wow, that was honestly an interesting exercise for me, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. I hope this got your gears really whirling and stretched your thinking a bit. It's easy to see money as a means to an end, or even that money can be evil if you have too much, but it's so much more than that. So if you got value out of this video, be sure to like it with a thumbs up below. Subscribe to The Money Resolution if you dig my approach to personal finance and talking about money. And let me know in the comments your reaction to this video or your answer to the question at the top. Does more money bring more problems? Or simply let me know your thoughts on this style of video. Should I make more Frankie Money Truth Busters? One thing I do know, there's a bad formula for individuals when it comes to money. It's more money, no education equals more problem. So with or without money, financial literacy is critical, which is a great time to give a very quick plug that you can now get free access, a preview of my first ever online course, Save Money Resolution, linked below and pinned in the first comment. Learn how to save your first or next $10,000 with my 7-step system. And you can get 25% off the entire course if you want that, just for checking out the free preview. Did I mention the preview's free? Or if reading is on your New Year's resolution list, why not read a book with the word resolution in the title? On that front, I have news actually. So in the next week or so, the second edition of my best-selling first book, The Money Resolution, is going to be live. It's going to be updated, expanded. It's going to look and feel new from the inside and out with a new cover, new formatting, and I really cannot wait. So support indie authors, invest in yourself, and check out that book, also linked down below. And with that, guys, MC Frankie here to tell you to keep an eye out for my debut rap single, Mo Money, Mo Security. I gotta hip hop my way out of here. I'll see you guys next week. Same rap hour, same rap channel, so peace out, homies. This is The Money Resolution. I got a solution to all your money problems. I'm gonna solve them. If you know what that's from, you've been watching my channel from the early days, so thank you. Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me, and I just love your flashy ways. This is why they broke and yo so paid.